Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant. Today we are at the next topic, that is the practical Rook Endgames. We are at the 11th position of our topic. Today we have got a very interesting case here. I have taken a game position from the game Tartakover VS Trifunovic, and here we see that black has placed his rook nicely, sort of zigzag situation for white. White is unable to move his rook from the 5th rank because of rook d5 check. Black rook is very nicely placed. It can harass the c5 pawn from behind also, and if required it can go to the side also. So that is a very ideal position for the rook. But white has an interesting idea which he executes in the game nicely. So this position we can say is white to play and win actually, because white is almost able to get winning position in all the lines. So if we look at the position, we will know that there is not much white can do in the position. King has no place to move. Rook d5 is not possible. Moving this rook away allows rook d5 check, rook e5, then again rook can come to d4. So it looks like white is not able to improve his position, but white calculated a line where he is able to force things. Let's see what he has got. So white has the only move here, g6. Slightly interesting is c6, but we will see that it's not interesting, it's a mistake. After c6 there is instant rook c4, and we see that the c pawn will be taken. So white went g6. The point of calculation is that after fg6 king gets to the e6 square, and then the pawn promotes very quickly. We will have a race of pawn sort of position, but with the active rook on white's hand and a better pawn for the white side. So after fg6, king e6, we follow some interesting analysis. King h6, trying to use his pawn and the king collectively. c6, rook c4, kd6. The king remains nicely on the 6th rank. The rook can interfere in many cases. Now the first problem for the black side. He has to play the pawn to g5. He cannot improve his king. So white rook is well placed, white king is well placed, and even the white pawn is advanced. So all the three pieces are far superior than the opponent's pieces. Thus after g5, white simply goes c7. Now the idea is, if g4, just rook c5. When after rook d4 check kc6, we see that the pawn cannot be stopped from queening. And after the only move, rook c7, kc7, we have a very interesting scenario. This line didn't happen in the game because black didn't play fg. He had a superior move than the move fg6 over there. So now if black plays g4, then we see that the rook is cutting off the king on his 3rd rank. So this is 5th rank for us and 4th rank for the opponent. So what is happening, whenever the king is cut off on the 3rd rank and the pawn advances too far, right now there is gap of 2 squares. Moment it will become 3 with the move g3, white will always have the maneuver rook e3, g2 followed by rook e3, and the pawn would be lost. So it makes no sense to push this pawn further. So black has to play the move king h5. And here the safest way is to get his king quickly and attack the g pawn. So kd6, king h4. Here many ways are there. Actually rook can go to a5. Rook can be brought from e8 to g8. Rook behind the passer. Many things can be done. But the best and the safest we can say is e6, g4, king f5, g3, and simply king f4. And now what we see, next move will be rook g5 and the g pawn will be taken. So after g3, rook g5, we see that the g pawn is lost, because after kh3, it's not just about kf3 here, but rook h5 is checkmate and black loses. So black played another move in the game. Let's see what happened in the actual game. In the game, black got the same position with an extra tempo. After g6, he went rook c4. First, forcing white to waste one move with his rook. Now nothing can improve. King wants to go to e6 and d6, but for that he has to make space. So rook d5. Now comes fg6, king e6, kh6, kd6, g5, c6. If we compare to the previous line, we see that here straight away one tempo is lost and black is already able to get his king to the h5 square. But even then nothing changes because of the plan c7, rook c7, kc7. If the king tries to go to g4, this is an interesting attempt. Then still kd6, king f4. White should use the move rook d4 check, first forcing the king to go away, and as soon as king f3 is played, k e5, g4, rook d3 check, king f2 and king f4, and white wins. Thus king f5 is the only attempt here. Now king d5, g4, and now rook uses the frontal attack this time, and we will use the opposition to win the game. So after king f4, king d4, king f3, we can use rook f1 check and force the king on the g5, or after g3 also rook f1 check, kg4, king e3. We see the king reaches the f2 square in time. After g2, rook g1, kg3, ke2, kh2, king f2, and white wins. And after the move king h4, there is just kd6, g4, ke e5, same idea like we discussed before. And after g3, king comes to f4 and rook g5, and white wins easily. Here the move kg3 can be met similar way like in the previous line. Rook d3 check, forcing the king away, and the king reaches the f4 square, and here also black loses. So black resigned in the game after the move king f4. So the position was bit tricky and there were some intricate points. I hope you are finding these lessons useful. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.